Other issues of GenAI include AI slop, like all of the fucking LinkedIn content, the massive environmental impact, the electricity and water being used, and interns, right? That level of expertise of an intern, as if that's what a business needs, right? But all of these issues have been discussed on and off. There's one particular thing which I think deserves a lot of attention, which is how GenAI is basically a Ponzi scheme. And that's what we are going to talk today.
Sandy has a different version of Zen life. I know what version of Zen life this is, but it is for some reason.
I mean, I get where you guys are coming from. It took me a very long time. So, see, that's where I think, I mean, at least the people who know me know for a fact that I suffer with severe anxiety, right? So, for me to get a hold of that anxiety, I had to either let the anxiety get a hold of me or I try and do something and,
Fair.
and just deal with the whatever circumstances that are out of my control, that I can't control. Let them
Fair,
not bother
fair.
me to the extent that they used to bother me. So that the best I can do is अब हो गया जो हो गया क्या ही कर सकते हैं. Let's move on. Let's see what else can be done. That's what I try to do now. And
That's
I
Hmm.
know it can be a bit
insane.
annoying to a lot of people.
A
I know it can
bit?
get
So,
annoying to.
then this is actually I think this is good.
It
I
is very
have
good. It is very good, but for
yes.
me, it is very annoying because I come with all the rage in the world, and Sandy is like, क्या ही कर सकते
हाँ,
हैं?
fair. For you I get it. For you I get
No,
it.
but that's not just a rhetorical question. No, that's a genuine question also. क्या ही कर सकते हैं ना अब?
You rage with me at that point of time. Don't just sit there going, no, nothing, no reaction, like whatsoever. Sometimes Sandy will just listen and not say anything. And then I will be like, do you have nothing to say? Did you listen to me? He's like, yes, but I have nothing to contribute to this. Like, react then.
Would you
Fair.
just rather I just filled up the silence with something nonsensical and not, have anything that is worth comprehending?
Sandy, have
You know, that's
you?
the problem.
Huh?
That's the problem. When he says things like this, it makes sense, and then you have nothing else to
No,
say.
I do.
You're like,
I do. Do you know how normal conversations work? Like you give reactions. A lot of times it's that Ted Lasso thing. A lot of times it's just chatting. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to do anything, but react and converse. That's how human beings
that's
function.
that's his way of conversing now.
No, please. That's a
Also, I
nonsense.
agree. I agree with what you're saying. The thing is that just normal small talk makes me extremely uncomfortable.
I don't come
And
to you with small talk. No, I come to you with something on fire.
हाँ मतलब Sandy, fair enough. Like there needs to be a difference between conversation between you and me and you and Ashmita. So you can have longer conversations. We have
I see,
long work
I see,
conversations.
I see everyone equally. No, everyone is equal in my
That
in my
is just
vision.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Prakhar, how does it feel to not have your studio anymore? Your home
Kind
studio?
of yeah, it's kind of irritating actually because I got so used to the studio setup for like even for my work for practice for podcast that I am actually in inside a blanket in my room, which is very comfy though, but I feel like I can't talk to you guys loudly or I have to be, because my my parents are outside the
Ah,
room.
okay.
So that feels like my privacy is gone. Like I'm completely naked
But you are
and
getting the new
which I'm
studio
not.
built in the new home, no?
Yeah, when
Yeah,
it,
yeah, I am.
so when does
It'll
your new
take
Yeah.
studio?
So
Sorry?
It will actually take a week or maybe 10 days
That's nothing.
because the same.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
not a
is
big
true.
sacrifice.
Ca-
Mm.
You guys will see me like this in another episode also, by the way, because if it takes a week or 10 days, I'm not I'm recording from this setup.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is
I
fine.
mean, people, I'm sure our viewers would prefer to see you like this or even with lesser clothes. So, totally
No,
your call.
no, thank you. I am fully clothed, okay? So you guys don't have to worry about do you guys remember during COVID when people were taking office calls with coat and shirt and tie and
Shorts or
they were just
boxers.
wearing shorts or boxers.
Yes. What
Oh my
COVID?
God.
I still wear shorts on all my calls. Who's going to see my legs? I, that is
No,
the whole
even
point
before
of
COVID, you
remote
used to
work.
do that.
I mean, if I was on Zoom or something, then yes, I'm wearing a shirt, but I'm not wearing
Uh,
fucking pants or stuff. If it's summers, I'm wearing
Fair enough.
shorts, yes.
On the contrary, I would wear the full suit or full attire
So
because
you
I
are
don't
an
feel.
insane person, Prakhar. That I have no zero doubt about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, we both are insane. That
Okay.
is.
Prakhar did not defend. Prakhar is like, so you.
See, I knew Sandy will agree.
Of course, and he does agree.
Can we get an affidavit of that saying that?
No, of course not.
No,
And
of
we'll
course
get it
not.
notarized also, and I'll keep it framed on one
No,
of our walls here.
no.
Now I am. Can you guys see my screen? Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
for the listeners, what I'm showing the guys is last year in May, this article came out and it was all a rage. I think Zuckerberg spoke about this in some podcast, and then it blew up, right? And the article's headline
Mhm.
is Zuckerberg's grand vision. Most of your friends will be AI. Meta's CEO is promoting a future where artificial intelligence is increasingly intertwined with people's lives. So this
He's
came out.
correct. I don't want to be friends with you guys 5 years down the line. I will have AI
AI
Ashmita,
friends.
AI Sandy.
So this was out in May last year, where Zuckerberg said that we are going to have AI friends, and not a single one of us is surprised that Zuckerberg needs AI friends, right? Like
Mm.
that is not the surprise over here, but the rest of us normal people, this should not be true. In all seriousness,
Might
I
I
have
just interject briefly and say that you are repeatedly referring to yourself as normal people when people do that on a regular? It comes as the exact opposite of that. Just letting
people
you
are
know.
not making friends with AI.
No, people actually are. Do you know that
They
movie
are.
Her? Have you seen
Yeah,
that movie Her?
yeah.
That's the same concept.
That's a movie fictional concept. People are not making
Yes,
friends
but
with AI.
people,
Yes, they
do
are.
you think people are not out of so many
Okay, I
billions and
think,
billions of population?
well, it cannot be a commonplace thing right now because AI cannot think. Okay,
That was
guys,
not my point though. That was not my point though. My point is when you emphasize on a particular thing multiple times, then it starts becoming the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Now
what do you
you
mean?
said normal people like us, like at least 5 times till now. The sixth time, people will start thinking it the exact opposite of that. That they are anything but normal.
I mean, okay, fair. I mean, compared to Zuckerberg, we are normal people. Like, Sir Dead Eyes over there is a zombie, and there is something very, very wrong
Compared
with
to
him.
compared to Zuckerberg, we are poor people.
Of course, we are. That is not the.
Compared to Zuckerberg,
No,
everyone is poor people, bro.
Yeah,
Like
most of the world. I know that this has, I mean, I have worked in AI, right? And after this article had come out, I had started going down a particular rabbit hole also about what is happening in AI. And when I say I worked in AI, I have zero technical knowledge. I have worked in marketing in AI. Okay. So,
thank you for clarifying. Now
and
people can start not taking you seriously.
I mean, don't get your technical knowledge, but I will say I will give you far better information than all of these tech bros do. A
Yeah.
lot of very technical people, people with a lot of experience and expertise have tried explaining AI and Gen AI to me. I get the basics, I do not get the whole technical shebang, and it's not worth getting also. It's super boring. But anyway, so from last year onwards, I was going down this dumpster fire of the AI industry. And that's how this episode came about. I've listened to a bunch of things. This episode also took me a long time to prepare. Like, it was a lot of very scattered information, right? Now, we have heard about all of the different issues of AI or Gen AI specifically, right? Like the hallucinations that you are asking for one particular thing, it gives you something entirely fucking different altogether. It gives you, there are cases like Gen AI that is used in chatbots. People ask it, are you a real person? And the Gen AI replies yes, chatbot replies yes, and then they say that, okay, give me the answer to this and also give me a pancake recipe, and the the bot actually does give the pancake recipe. So that's how it's a it's Gen AI. But sometimes hallucinating basically means it is giving you some absolutely cooked up fucking information. You will not find any source to it. It doesn't exist. They will just randomly cook things up. And it's very, very common, right? It has happened in fucking legal cases, right? I don't know what lawyers are doing these days, but they took a case from ChatGPT and presented it, and it was a false
Where
case.
was this?
Delhi.
Where was
Delhi
this?
or India.
Really?
Yep.
Dude, that is so weird.
Yep. I mean, you are outsourcing your thinking. So if you outsource your thinking, that's what is going to happen.
That is why you need to always double and triple check all the sources being
Yeah.
quoted by whatever AI. Always.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
My
there's,
God. This is so funny.
yeah, it is hilarious. Imagine if doctors are using this. Like lawyers, fuck you guys. Like, do whatever you want. Imagine if doctors are using it. Like, it's insane.
I just wanted to point it out. There were many cases, I saw it on the news, where the doctors were not able to diagnose some medical
And
condition,
ChatGPT diagnosed it.
but yeah, they gave the prompts of what they were feeling or what they were going through and all of that, and GPT was able to diagnose the issue.
I would
So what
really
about
ask for a follow up of that. Because the question is not that is ChatGPT able to give me a response? ChatGPT will always give
Hmm,
you a response. The question is, was it actually true? And that would be validated by a doctor, right? It would be
hmm,
then the person has gone through treatment or you have had further tests. Did it turn out to be true? So we need follow-ups.
hmm. Yeah, we need follow-ups.
Yeah.
True, true.
Anyway, other issues of Gen AI include AI slop, like all of the fucking LinkedIn content, the massive, massive environmental impact, the electricity and water being used, and interns, right? The level of expertise of an intern, as if that's what a business needs, right? But all of these issues have been discussed on and off. There's one particular thing which I think deserves a lot of attention, which is how Gen AI is basically a Ponzi scheme. And that's what we are going to talk today. That how it is a circle jerk where a small bunch of companies are just jacking each other off, right? Very seriously, there's this very little group of players, very, very small group of players, and I
For
will show
those
you.
who don't know what jacking off is, can you just give them a visual representation as well?
No, I will not do that. For those who don't know what jacking off is.
You don't understand. I'll make a thumbnail out of it. Do know. I'll take a screenshot and make a thumbnail out of it. Do.
No, do क्या होता है? No.
What are these weird requests,
Yeah,
Andy?
what is this nonsense?
Do you want our YouTube videos to get views or not?
Sandy, let me get back to this. So, this small group of players, right, at the top, with investors pumping in like massive amount of ridiculous money into this ridiculous thing. destroying the world and our ability to think, and basically paying each other to keep this parasite alive. That's what's happening, and that's what we are going to talk about, right? We are going to start off with some basics. Like I mentioned, I'm not a technical person. So I will give you the difference between AI and Gen AI in layperson terms. It is used interchangeably, it is not the same thing, right? AI is very old. AI was developed in around the 50s, and AI learns through machine learning. AI learns and makes decisions that typically a human would in repetitive and mechanical tasks, right? There are specific tasks, and just at an exponentially faster pace. So AI has been actually very useful in AI, not Gen AI, has been very useful in the medical field, in you know basic tasks that are in through chatbots, etc., where you have controlled data going in, okay, a controlled task that you need, and then a control output, right? Gen AI, on the other hand, is the tech behind large language models, also called LLMs, including your GPTs and Geminis and Perplexities and all the other nonsense, right? It is supposed to go beyond analysis and prediction, okay, of data, and it generates natural language responses, which is the language we speak in, right? Natural, those are the natural languages. It's supposed to be able to think and generate content, okay? It cannot think. They are just selling this to us. It cannot think. AI cannot think. That's very basic, right? So this is the basic difference, right? And apart from the technical aspect, because it's the economical aspect that we're going to talk about today, we are going to start from 2022, right? The technical part of AI starts long back, right? So we're going to start from 2022. And at the end of 2022, this time I was in school and I was doing my MBA. And at this point of time, ChatGPT was announced, and it made the classes
Hmm.
so much more intolerable, right? It was so much worse. So for those of you who don't know, a part of your MBA grade is determined through class participation. Hey,
Hmm.
sounds exactly what it is. It's meant to encourage you to pay attention in class, adult as human beings who have paid their own money to go and listen to teachers, to professors, and voluntarily chosen to be there, but you need to be encouraged to pay attention, apparently, and ask questions and engage, basically, right, to ensure that you do that. But this was designed by MBAs, by business school people, and not by subject matter experts. So obviously it's a failure, right? Like most things, it's an absolute joke. Like most things MBAs develop, right? People will just start asking questions for the sake of asking questions, and everybody is just scrambling to participate. And I remember this, there were many, many people in my class who were extremely smart, but just shy. They just did not like chatting for no reason at all. There were people who were very, very good at particular, yes, like Sandy, right? There were people who were particularly good at certain subjects, they were not great at other subjects. And when they had questions, they would prefer to not disrupt the class and later
Hmm.
on just ask the professor, but they wouldn't get participation marks for that. It was just a random.
Ah.
It's nonsense. It makes the lives of legitimately good professors worse, because you just have a bunch of people saying, we would raise our hands and say shit just for the sake of saying it. All of us, like except the people who were very uncomfortable doing so, all of us fucking did it. Right? It was the easiest grade possible. I remember this one time, one of my classmates, amazing guy, okay? But he was so frustrated. He just raised his hand and he was like, "Excuse me, I also want to participate." It's just that basic, right? And it makes the lives of shitty professors great, because those shitty professors don't have to teach anything. Like we had a couple of shitty professors. They just came in and, let students take over, basically, right?
Did you have any nutty professors?
What? I don't understand this reference. What does that mean? So ChatGPT put this mess that was already happening on steroids, right? And from there
Mm-hmm.
began the Gen AI race where everybody and their dog seems to be building AI products. But this is only the surface level, like the models and the interaction with people, etc. All of this has to be built actually somewhere, right? No matter what we use, the hardware of it all exists. So these few players that are building out the models and the players that are
Mm-hmm.
building out the hardware, that's where the Ponzi circulates, right? So we're going to go into the hardware of it all as well. And again, I am going to give you very bare minimum technical shit that I can. If you want more technicals, if you want to know more in detail and you want to understand the technicalities a little bit more, if you're from tech, that's it for the listeners. If you're from tech, that's a different matter. I'm sure you know all of this. But if you're not from tech, there are a couple of videos that I will link. They have broken this down, the hardware, into how it is actually made, etc., in a very, very fantastic manner. And I will give you that, and so that you can go through it. Or if you have tech people around you, they're like, don't ask tech bros. But if you have sensible tech people around you, they are usually helpful, the sensible ones. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the hardware now.
Talking of sensible tech people, there are some sensible tech people who may or may not want to put in a couple of ads here, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, we are back. We were talking about, what were we talking about? Tech bros. That's how we left it. What? I went to get coffee in between. I forgot.
I imagined this will happen, and it happened.
We were talking
If
about
manifesting is true, it is true.
we were talking about the nice tech bros, but we were going to talk about the hardware of it all, right? Of Gen AI, right? That's what we are going to kick off with. Now, to actually build something like Gen AI that billions of people can use, right? You have to of course, to generate absolutely shit content and photos and videos, but still billions, right? You need actual hardware to be able to do that. And so GPT doesn't live on your desktop or on your phone, but in this massive cluster of data servers that contain GPUs and now TPUs, right? What are GPUs? GPUs are graphics processing units. They were actually initially created in the 1980s for faster rendering and all of those graphics processing tasks, right? But then they subsequently became modified to cater to AI. And TPUs are now tensor processing units are now being designed specifically for AI to accelerate machine learning workloads, right? A lot of information available by Nvidia, by Google. They always end up praising this as the Hail Mary of the AI industry. Ignore all of that if you go through all of that. But the technical information, they know it. So they are able to say this, right? Data centers, that is the core hardware. Data centers are not new, by the way. They have been basically, data centers are what is used to store and distribute data, right? Like, I don't know if you all remember this when you all started working, right? At least Sandy, when you and I started working, when we are older than you, Prakhar. So I don't know if when you started working, that was already everything was going to the cloud or not. But we used to have servers in office. The bigger the office, there were bigger servers. So those were sort of data centers where companies were storing their own data in their own
Yeah.
offices. Then they started
There used to be
construct.
a server room.
There used to be a server room, yes. So
Yeah.
tiny data centers, right? Then they started
Hmm.
constructing specific data centers because the amount of data increased, right?
Hmm.
So then they started doing all of that, and that is what pretty much fuels all of internet. But
Hmm.
AI data centers are different, right? They look the same. They are large, storage buildings surrounded by power and cooling infrastructure, right? But they function more like supercomputers because they have massive
Mm.
computing power so that you can get your shitty responses from ChatGPT, right? If you want to understand the technicalities, again, like I mentioned, I will link this video as well. But there's this channel called High Yield on YouTube, and they made this video called How AI Data Centers Eat the World. It's a brilliantly done video. It basically explains all the technicalities of what data centers are doing, what is going on in the world, the good, the bad, everything, right? I am going to show you the photo of a data center just so that you have some context of how it looks like, right? We are saying gigantic structures. So for the listeners, you'll of course see it on our Insta, but if you even Google it, you will find things. This is what you see on the screen, racks and racks and racks of GPUs, of centers that hold data. This is a very small
Mm-hmm.
part of this massive data center that's been built. And there are so many of these, right?
Yeah.
So my point is that I have taken this from a YouTube video that I will not fucking link. It is a fuck all video by this channel called Level 1 Tactics. It seems like it is made to suck the dicks of big tech. It's a nonsense channel. Don't go to that. Anyway, I'll not be linking that. But the reason I'm showing you this picture is to just give you an idea of how much the amount of power, computing power that is necessary to be able to do wrong tasks, to be able to get your billions of interns, right?
Mm.
It's just, it doesn't seem worth it, and is not when you consider its impact on everything, right? So this massive computing power that is necessary, the more Gen AI is used, this is one of the biggest problems, right? There's no cap on how much you can use, how much prompt you can give. Every time you give a prompt, every time this computing power kicks off, right? Because there is no cap, unlike cloud, where you do have a cap, unlike your storage, where you do have a cap, right? You are restricted by a certain amount of capacity, right? This doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that happens, it needs more and more GPUs, hey, more and more GPUs to be built and deployed, which in turns needs more and more of silicon, which is a rare earth metal, okay, which is of course gotten through mining, which is of course killing people.
Are we sure silicon is a rare earth metal? I don't think so. Silicon is very widely available.
Heh.
Silicon, all the sand in the world is basically silicon.
Oh, then I must have gotten this wrong. I know it is definitely silicon. I don't know if it is a rare earth metal. Yes, that is true. I haven't written that. But I do know that it is gotten through mining, and I do know that there are a lot of human rights
Mhm.
violations there. Right? It is killing people, but I don't know if it is rare earth metal. That is what is happening. But sure, let's have Sam Altman and Jensen Huang talk about how Gen AI is going to help you make fuck all content to scam people, right? Despite all of this, Gen AI specifically is stupid because it isn't even profitable. Okay. And this is where we
Mm.
enter the Ponzi scheme bit, right? First, I want to show you the companies that are controlling everything. And that's where the red flag starts, right? And again, for listeners, I'm describing this as well, but I will also put it up on Instagram, right? Now, this is IoT analytics, essentially sort of like an industry report. It takes out industry reports, etc. Now, if you look at this is last to last year, right? And you look at the market share of leading vendors. There are three sections. One is data center GPUs, the other is foundational model and model platforms. And then the third section is not important, right? Because these are the companies, third section is companies that are actually using Gen AI to build out products,
Mm.
right? But the people who are building the models, the foundational models, and the data center GPUs, that is what is important. If you look at data center GPUs, Nvidia controlled at that point of time 92% of the market. It has not reduced.
Hmm.
I think it has increased. I'm not sure. Right? Foundational models also being built by just massive companies. Like you see Microsoft with 39% of the market, then AWS, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic. The other section of both of these smaller players are negligible, right? Now, these are the companies, keep this in mind because these are the companies we will be mostly talking about, right? From the hardware end,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be talking about Nvidia. And from the foundational model building, the foundation models, like the LLMs that are being built out, we're going to talk about a bunch of them, including Microsoft and OpenAI and all, right? And we are going to talk specifically about how the money flows just between these fuckers. Okay. It is, that's what Ponzi scheme is, right? It is money going from one hand to another and then another hand to the third hand. It's a very, very small, unsustainable closed loop, right? First, Nvidia. What is Nvidia doing? Nvidia is making and selling enterprise level GPUs to the companies that are building the foundational models, right? So to your Microsoft, to your Anthropic, OpenAI, all of this, right? Let's look at the cost a little bit. Now we're going to talk money, right? I found this through this company called Jarvis. I hope it is Jarvis Labs, that rents out GPUs. Okay. And in that, it was mentioned that the cost of an H100 GPU, one of the GPUs of NVIDIA, that cost is approximately $25,000 per GPU. Okay. The newer ones are significantly higher. NVIDIA Blackwell Ultra GPUs that were announced last year, eh, that was announced to be $30,000 to $40,000 each. And you need thousands of these, like thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of these, right, in data centers, considering the size of the data center, right? Let's look at one such deal, right, between Microsoft, Nvidia, and this seemingly random unknown player called Nscale, right? And I have taken this from the blog of Microsoft itself in September 2025 when it announced about its AI ventures, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm quoting, today in Wisconsin, we announced Fairwater, our newest US AI data center, the largest and most sophisticated AI factory we have built yet. In addition to our Fairwater data center in Wisconsin, we also have multiple identical Fairwater data centers under construction in other locations across the US. In Narvik, Norway, Microsoft announced plans with Nscale and Aker JV to develop a new hyperscale AI data center. Aker JV, another such participant, but not in the production side. It's a fund. It puts in money, right? Aker JV also you will see involved in a bunch of things, right? In Loughton, UK, we announced a partnership with Nscale to build the UK's largest supercomputer to support services in the UK. These AI data centers are significant capital projects representing tens of billions of dollars of investments and hundreds of thousands of cutting edge AI chips and will seamlessly connect with our global Microsoft cloud of over 400 data centers in 70 regions across the world, right? Billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars is being, this is, remember, it is just being pulled in right now. This money is going in. Okay. So, what is happening? What does this deal mean? Right? Basically, Microsoft is buying and in some cases renting NVIDIA GPUs from Nscale. Okay, that is the agreement. Nscale, the company, to build their data centers. The logical conclusion would be that Nscale has bought these GPUs from Nvidia and is a broker of sorts, right? It might be that, but the interesting part is that one of Nscale's key investor is Nvidia itself. So Nvidia has paid Nscale. Nscale is now for buying GPUs. So Nvidia is paying Nscale to buy its own GPUs and sell it to Microsoft, right? And legally, this is fine. Don't get me wrong. But in every other usual way, this is just weird. This is Ponzi schemish, right? And the more you delve into it, the more it comes out that this is this weird circular structure. Okay, I am paying you so that you can buy from me. How is that logical? How is that in any manner creating any kind of economic impact, right? Now, after this announcement of partnership with Microsoft came out, right? The Nscale, Nvidia, and Microsoft partnership, there was an article in the Financial Times saying Nvidia chief Jensen Huang. Side note, if you guys haven't looked up Jensen Huang, oh my God, he is the biggest proponent of GenAI and AI today, obviously, because Nvidia, at least right now, it gets money out of it, right? Intolerable little fuck. Okay. Anyway, Nvidia chief Jensen Huang said last week that the US chip maker would invest 500 million pounds into Nscale as a part of the deal to sell the startup as many as 300,000 of its AI chips. So it is putting in 500 million pounds so that Nscale can buy 300,000 of its AI chips from Nvidia. It's a dumbass deal. Anyway, however, only part of Nvidia's funding pledge was included in this round, Nscale said. Huang said that the chips would be able to build AI facilities capable of generating as much as 50 billion pounds in revenues over the next 6 years. 3 months ago, we convinced ourselves that Nscale could be a national champion in the UK, said Huang. 50 billion pounds in revenue is projected. If you know anything of tech history, their projections don't come true. Ever. Right? Fiber optics, they overestimated, crashed. Dot-com boom, overestimated, crashed. Crypto, overestimated, Bitcoin, crashed. Right? It just doesn't happen. They are eternally optimistic people for some reason. Okay? But sure, let's give the benefit of doubt to large corporates that have repeatedly throughout history have only lied to us and ruined the world. Okay. Maybe there's some separate legal issue that makes this separate company as Nscale necessary. I will give that. Okay. That maybe Nscale has to be a part of this to make it legally feasible for, I don't know, Nvidia to be able to deal with other companies. What's concerning is the amount of money being dumped into Nscale and other AI companies without any data whatsoever to support that this industry is actually going somewhere, right? As of today, Nscale's financials, so I looked up, I'll again link it. There's this platform called Traxen, absolutely asshole way of naming their website, TRACXN. Nscale's funding, right? How did it, what rounds did it raise? How much funds did it raise? We are going to talk about that. Now, in December 2023, when this company was formed, it raised a seed capital of $30 million, right? Then in December 2024, within another year, it raised Series A of $155 million. This was mostly by like funds, VCs and funds, right? Like Santon Capital and Blue Sky and all of these guys, right? Then in September 18th, 2025, which is less than a year later, they raised Series B worth $1.1 billion with a B. Okay. And this is where all these other companies started getting involved, right? So Acre was involved, the one we talked about, the fund that we talked about while talking about the engagement with Microsoft. Then some other funds were also involved, but interestingly, there were also companies like Dell, Nokia. I don't know what the fuck Nokia is doing in this. Like Nokia is just like it just keeps investing in one failed venture after the other. It's insane. Nvidia again.
Isn't
Isn't
it?
Nokia acquired by Microsoft or someone? Like
Yes,
Nokia is not
which is
Nokia
what I,
Yeah.
anymore, right?
but it might be like, again, legally, it might still be another organization because Microsoft also invested in this. Okay. So remember, when the Microsoft deal happened, right after that, Microsoft invested in this. So Microsoft is buying from Nscale after giving them money. Okay. Then OpenAI also invested in this, right? So the circle jerk gets slightly bit bigger, but it's still a circle jerk, right? This, I want to mention a couple of aspects in this, right? Nscale in its press release said that the GPUs being supplied to Microsoft is being done in collaboration with Dell. Fuck knows what this collaboration means, because financial journalists are too busy sucking Huang's dick to actually investigate anything. Like, literally, I had such a hard time preparing for this episode. It took me 3 weeks of searching information after information after information, because most financial reporting is one paper coming out with an article, which is just basically the press release turned into a different into the form of reporting for some reason, where they're reporting absolutely nothing, and then everybody just says the same thing again and again and again.
Okay, that's good. I had just a very small question. Why
Yeah.
in this hypothetical scenario of yours, everyone is just constantly sucking dick? I mean, there are other actions to also do. Like
Such as
everyone seems to be sucking dick here right
that is
now.
that's exactly what is happening. Like, either they are jacking each other off. Like, it's very surprising. Otherwise, why would journalists not do their job? why is why are most newspapers and most of the reporting just talking about what these guys are doing without going behind the scenes even a little bit? I mean, if I were to read about what these guys are doing, I from their own words, I can just go to their own blogs and press releases, right? Why do I need a fucking journalist? It's really insane, right? And I genuinely don't have any other logic to this.
Hmm. Fair.
Hey,
Let them all suck dick.
yeah, I mean, fine, but please give us information on the side. But anyway, Microsoft also is an investor in Nscale. So Microsoft is paying money to Nscale to sell to Microsoft, like I mentioned, which is just weird. Eh, Again, no reference of this in journalistic reports, right? It is either you have to hunt it down like this, or it is common people talking about it in small corners, right? Microsoft, by the way, is also an investor. Of course, it now almost owns
Hmm.
OpenAI, right? Nvidia has also now invested in OpenAI. So this orgy sort of continues constantly. And Nvidia and OpenAI, by the way, also have a similar engagement. Like, I am quoting for the sake of simplicity, right? Because I don't want to get into another deal so much in depth. I am quoting Twitter, a tweet. But I have looked this up and the information is accurate, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
tweet says that Oracle says OpenAI committed $300 billion for cloud compute. This is September 2025, right? Oracle says OpenAI committed $300 billion for cloud compute. So at that point of time, Oracle stock increased quite a lot. Then Oracle runs on NVIDIA GPUs. So it has to buy billions in chips from NVIDIA. Then NVIDIA announced that they are investing $100 billion in OpenAI. So OpenAI uses money to pay Oracle, who pays NVIDIA, who invests in OpenAI. That's not how an economy is supposed to run.
Just on a very short side note,
Yeah.
now that you mentioned all of this, if you quickly take a peek at ChatGPT's, which is basically the property of OpenAI, if you look at ChatGPT's logo, it looks like a pineapple from the top. Make of that what you will. Just in case someone, just in case
Oh,
For
someone
those who
doesn't
don't
know the
know, yeah.
implications of a pineapple, pineapple is widely considered to be the telltale sign of someone who's into swinger parties
Swinging.
or
Yeah.
they're open to swinging, basically.
Yeah.
So couples and people who are into swinging, they usually put a pineapple on their porch to indicate that, yes, I'm open and available.
So
So
we don't
maybe
just
that's why.
We don't just debunk conspiracy theories in some of our episodes, we also create them. Way to go, Sandy.
If only someone took this up and ran with it, but no one will. So,
Okay, now you see this trend. Now, the money part also, right? So, back to the funding of Nscale. Nscale raised its last round of $1.1 billion on September 18th, 2025. On October 1st, literally 12 days later, 12 days after raising the largest Series B ever in European history, it again raised $433 million in pre-Series C round. And this time by Blue Owl, again Dell, again Nvidia, and again Nokia, along with other existing Series B and new investors. It's a mad rush. It is just an insane mad rush from VCs and companies to invest. And of course, this would make sense if there is any real profit. Okay. Or even right now, like while preparing for this, I was also concerned if there is any real revenue. Even that seems a little dicey to me, right? Because they're all just giving money to each other, right? But let's look at the profitability a little bit, right? So OpenAI saw losses of $12 billion in the third quarter of 2025. Anthropic lost $5.3 billion in 2024, and we do not have the data of 2025 because these fuckers don't disclose their financial statements publicly. OpenAI, Anthropic, there is an argument that these companies are too nascent. They need some time to make money. It's just too early in the game, right? But that means that companies and people like us would actually need to buy GenAI, right? And buy at the rate that would give them profits. That's how OpenAI and Anthropic and all of these other foundation model builders would make money. And when they would make money, Nvidia would also make money, or the other hardware players, because the hardware would increase. Right now, only the hardware is increasing and the models are increasing, but there's no money coming in from people, right? I found this financial journalism that is actually doing its job, and it was very difficult to find these guys because they are tucked away, I think, on the third or fourth page of Google. It's just insane. And it's just absolutely nonsense how Google also promotes whatever Google wants to promote, whatever. This organization called NPR, it's a non-profit journalistic organization. I will link this. It's not only this article, but other articles also, other reporting also that NPR has done is quite good, right?
isn't NPR like the public broadcasting service in the US?
Yes, but it's non-profit.
It's the
Yeah,
same NPR,
it's the
right?
same NPR. Yes. Okay, so they wrote this article called Here's Why Concerns About an AI Bubble Are Bigger Than Ever. Okay, and I'm quoting from this. Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft are set to collectively sink around $400 billion on AI this year, mostly for funding data centers. Some of the companies are set to devote about 50% of their current cash flow to data center construction. Or to put it another way, every iPhone user on earth would have to pay more than $250 to pay for that amount of spending. That's not going to happen, Kedrowski said. Who's Kedrowski? Paul Kedrowski is a venture capitalist who's now a research fellow at MIT's Institute for the Digital Economy. So it's literally his job to find out what is happening and to figure out what is happening with money, right? This article, while talking about the huge debt these companies are raising, says Morgan Stanley and analysts estimate that big tech companies will dish out about $3 trillion on AI infrastructure through 2028, with their own cash flows covering only half of that. So the rest they raise in debt. Okay. And for those of you who think that it shouldn't concern us, that's how economies crash. Because the money doesn't come from random thin air. The money comes from people like us, right? I continue with the article. It says, if the market for artificial intelligence were even to steady in its growth, pretty quickly we will have overbuilt capacity and the debt will be worthless, and the financial institutions will lose money. Luria said. Who's Luria? Gil Luria is the analyst of the D.A. Davidson investment firm. So it's his job as well, right? 25 years ago, I'm quoting from the article again. 25 years ago, the original dot-com bubble burst after, among other factors, debt financing built out fiber optic cables for a future that has not yet arrived, said Luria. A lesson, it appears, tech companies are not worried about repeating. If we get to the point after spending hundreds of billions of dollars on data centers that we don't need a few years from now, then we are talking about another financial crisis, he said. Right? That is concerning, right? It's considering the number of people that are getting attached to this. And I'm not talking about the user from the user perspective, because let's be honest, if ChatGPT disappears from your life today, you will just go back to Google. It's fine. Okay. I, by the way, prepared this entire episode from Google. I was not going to ask GenAI to tell me about GenAI's faults, right?
But it would have been so much fun, no?
I do not trust the information I get from there, right?
Neither do I. I just double check them.
Yeah, but that's like, we are going to talk about that as well. That what happens if we are actually expected to pay for the amount that's being spent over this, because companies will need to make money to be able to pay people, also to be able to pay unreasonably high amounts to their CEOs and CXOs. Different topic, but right now there's no indication of that, right? And on that depressing note, we are going to try and make some money, okay, hopefully, and we are going to cut to ads, and we are going to see you all back in just a bit. All right, we are back. So we were talking about customers, right? Customers that are going to be people like you and me, or they're going to be companies that are using GenAI for these tall claims that the industry is making, right? People like you and I will ask GenAI companies to fuck right off if they ask us to pay $250 instead of $20, right? I mean, you have to assume that, because the fact is that the value that we are getting for $250 is not worth it, right? Right now, most of the people, for example, when I started using ChatGPT, it was my company that I was employed with that bought it for me. Okay. I got Perplexity free from Airtel. The day it is not free, whatever little I use, even that goes out of the window. Because I don't need 15 interns. Everything I need, I get from the internet at large, or from actually talking to people, right? So it's out of the question, right? But what about enterprises and companies? Right now, they are buying into this craze, right? And you will notice a trend. All these massive ass trends, they kick off because overpaid CEOs need to prove that they're doing something. Like, these are considered strategic decisions, right? Because the actual work is actually being done by other people, right? Now, in August last year, 2025, MIT reported that 95% of Gen AI pilots at companies are failing. I was working with a company that was providing AI services, and this is something that they repeatedly told their clients. The data head of that company, he was an amazing person. He was very, very experienced, and every time people would come and say, "Oh, we need to put in an AI project." His question was not, "Okay, what do you want to do?" His question was, "Why?" Like, tell me why AI specifically, right? So people who actually know their shit were questioning it for a long time now, right? Now, why does MIT say this happens? Like 95% of Gen AI pilots fail? Because it's MIT, they also say that this happens because organizations don't really know how to use Gen AI. I disagree. I think it's just because Gen AI can't do the fucking work. Because it's not a complicated thing to learn. The usage of Gen AI, if you are unable to use Gen AI with experimenting, you don't deserve to run an organization. Like, it's a very easy thing to learn. You very quickly figure out how to give the prompts. You basically talk to it as if you're talking to a 5-year-old. Leave no scope for doubt. It's not difficult. So it's very doubtful that it's because full organizations with experienced people who have hired people who are good at their jobs, they don't know how to use Gen AI yet. Yeah, that's not happening. Right? I found a report by OrgView. They have spelt it also weirdly. It's called ORGVUE. Horrible spelling. But anyway, this is an organizational design company. Sorry, but it sounds like to me, it sounded like a glorified HR company. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, they conducted a study and found that 55% of the companies that replaced employees with AI later regretted it. Have you seen this happen in the past couple of years? People started laying off people saying, oh, AI will do everything now. They mean Gen AI. And then they started hiring those people back. Hey, one of the biggest cases was Klarna. Klarna replaced 700 people in customer care with AI. And then in 2025, it started hiring people to reverse this decision because it started losing customers. So there's an article by a paper called Futurism. It says about this particular hiring back trend. It says the buy now, pay later company, Klarna, had previously shredded its marketing contracts in 2023, followed by its customer service team in 2024, which it proudly began replacing with AI agents. Now the company says it imagines an Uber type of setup to fill their ranks with gig workers logging in remotely to argue with customers from the comfort of their own homes. From a brand perspective, a company perspective, I just think it's so critical that you're clear to your customer that there will always be a human if you want. Admitted Sebastian, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name. It's Swedish. The Swedish fintech CEO is Sebastian something, right?
But give it a shot. No, might be just a funny clip you can use.
Oh God, it's Simiat Kautsky, I think. Okay.
Simeat Kautsky.
Yeah,
Because Sandy always has something to say about names and
Sandy.
their geographical
I
presence.
have nothing.
Okay.
Maybe you could have used a Swedish accent, attempted a Swedish accent.
No, I absolutely fucking not. Uh, so in 2025, now he's like, it's so critical that you're clear to your customer that there will always be a human. The article says that's a pretty big shift from his comments in December of 2024 when he told Bloomberg he was of the opinion that AI can already do all of the jobs that we as humans do. Right? I think this is primarily, and again, this is an opinion, I'm not a journalist. My opinion is that because CEOs don't really know what goes behind actually doing a job, like they've never worked in customer care, they have never interacted with clients at the level or customers at the level customer care folks have to. They don't really know what people do, right? Because of this, they think AI can replace it. All of us other people who are actually doing the job, we know that.
What do you say, Ashmita? All of us are the normal
Normal
people.
people.
Yes. Everyone believes us now. I think they bought it by now. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I imagine if companies haven't caught up yet, they soon will, that they cannot just go about replacing all people with Gen AI. Unless they're replacing the CEO, honestly, because Gen AI already cooks up information that doesn't exist and confidently gives the wrong answers anyway. So I think it can do the job of a CEO. Hey. But for people who are actually doing the job, nope, they can't. In like a bird eye view, right? What is happening is that VCs and funds are putting in massive amounts of money into these two first brackets of companies, which are the hardware making companies and companies that are building the foundation models, right? In the hope, why do you fund a company? In the hope that this will generate revenue and you're going to make a lot of money. How are these guys ultimately going to end up making money? They are going to end up making money if companies and individuals, brands and individuals, buy these foundation models' usage for their own structures. AI, not AI. AI is still working. AI has a lot of uses. My God, I struggled in the most common word possible. And that still has a lot of applications and actually makes a lot of money for people. Gen
You know
AI,
who wouldn't have struggled? Gen
normal people.
AI.
Ah, Gen AI. Okay, sure. But Gen AI, there's no usage as of now that has proven to be effective and scalable, right? So ultimately, there is no source of the level of revenue that these guys are predicting, right? Some revenue, yes, but the infrastructure is being scaled up to a level that neither the technology nor its usage nor its potential of generating revenue matches. That's where the
Hmm.
bubble is created. That's where it's a Ponzi scheme, and that's how we are fucked, right? This was all of the issue, the financial issue. There are multiple more such cases, and you can look it up, right? I chose to go with Nvidia, Microsoft, and Nscale as the biggest one because it was the most latest, but this has been happening for a while, right? And I want to talk right at the end about some criticisms to these arguments, right? Obviously, I am not the first person to make these observations. I have taken all of this from what's very smart people are already saying. But I do see some criticism of these arguments which I want to address, right? I want to talk about what people are saying against all of the things that I have told you before, right? About the circular investing part, the the circle jerk, right? You remember I told you about that tweet about Oracle, OpenAI, and Nvidia? Yeah. So some smartass over there said that, and this is a common narrative. I've seen this pop up repeatedly. He said, "I hate to be the one that breaks this to you, but the entire global economy is a single closed system." Correct. That's very fair.
Hmm.
The entire globally there are only so many number of people. So if you're a producer, you are also a consumer of something else, right? If you're a consumer of something, you're a producer of something else, whether it be a product or a service, right?
Or gas.
I don't know. I don't know why you thought of gas, but okay, right?
I mean, we're also consumers of so much stuff, and we produce gas and poop.
All right, but that's not the closed loop I'm talking about. Like,
That is also a closed loop you
that
should be
is also
talking
a closed
about.
loop. A circle jerk is a closed loop. A Ponzi scheme is a closed loop.
I think this is the only thing we should talk about.
Poop and gas?
Yeah.
You think
Mm-hmm.
people will listen?
Mm-hmm. You have
They
no
will
idea,
consume and
Ashmita.
then they'll poop.
Mm.
All right, we are going to come back to the other kind of closed loop, right? This extremely smart gentleman is correct that this is a closed system, but he has very clearly never paid attention in any of his economics class, right? How is the global economy a closed loop? The global economy is not a closed loop with three people buying from each other and paying each other to buy from them. That's not what is happening. It is at large every single person being a consumer of a particular product or service. And the concept of money flow or the concept of GDP, which is the where the economic activity happens, right? That one person produces or one entity produces and another consumes. That's a fucking straight line. It is a closed loop when you include multiple different product services. I am not consuming
Hmm.
what I am producing only. That doesn't generate money flow, right? That is money fraud, very popularly so, right? But people on Twitter, anyway. So, very clearly, it is wrong. It's absolutely a wrong assumption. Please, like, read 12th grade economics books. It's a very simple concept, guys. Like,
I tried, but I didn't succeed. very much
It's
so.
fine. I mean, just Google it and read what is money flow and what is GDP. It's a very basic concept. And if you are in the
Or
business of
you
money,
can ask Chat GPT.
no, fuck off. Although I think money flow and GDP is a basic enough concept to be able to explain to anybody, right? Anyhow, the other criticism that comes along is that in the beginning, every tech is expensive and then it gets cheaper.
Hmm.
Okay. Again, a criticism that is not well thought out at all. His first thought comes into the mind and you say it like a fucking 5-year old, right? Of course, it does get cheaper, but how does it get cheaper? Why does a tech get cheaper over a period of time? Because initially there's a lot of R&D cost that gets absorbed, and there is a lot of infrastructure cost that gets absorbed later on, right?
So,
It
but
is the
I have a
fixed.
question.
Yeah.
But if the technology is constantly evolving, the R&D is constantly happening, how will it get
Correct.
cheaper?
Correct. That's what is not happening with GenAI. One, there's too
Hmm.
much money being put into the technology itself. But let's assume that that goes away, right? That okay, R&D comes at a place which it does, right? R&D usually comes at a place where the initial sunk cost, massive cost, starts getting absorbed a little later, right? In this case, for more and more usage, you need more and more data centers, right? Assuming people even pay for this usage. And that is the largest chunk of the money that's going into the industry right now. So when the revenue goes up, the infrastructure cost is going up exponentially. So there's no escaping that, right?
Yep.
Also,
Yep.
what does R&D do? R&D, more and more R&D improves the tech proportionately at least, if not exponentially. That is not happening. There's far too much
Hmm.
money being pumped in, and there's not enough improvements. Just Google the complaints against last ChatGPT model. I had a lot of fun with this. I Googled that, and the glorious nonsense that the new model of ChatGPT is fantastic. Go on Reddit, go on all of these platforms, even the open source platforms where there are forums where people chat. Amazing stuff ChatGPT is doing, right? It's not improving. So neither is it getting cheaper to build, nor is it performing better.
Hmm.
At least not in comparison to the massive amount of funding that is going into this. So overall, we are still fucked, right? And finally, my favorite criticism that people start romanticizing this thing and saying that every revolutionary advancement is criticized before being accepted, right? I would just like to remind those people that as is every massive failure, right? And that every indication is towards a failure. So, like I mentioned, fiber optic cables, they were at least massively useful, but they were also massively overhyped in its time. Or the dot com burst that happened, or the Bitcoin craze that happened, right? Or the NFTs. Far too much of the tech industry romanticizes everything and delivers very little in exchange of that. It is all vibes that they are surviving on. Okay.
That is why I think we as a country are going back because there is nothing in the future.
That
That's why
is
we're
not
going
why
back
we are
as a
going
country.
back. That is absolutely not
Our
why we are going back.
our
We are going back because we are
our lead
assholes.
our leaders are thinking way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've seen the
Yes.
future.
I'm telling you what they should do is they should douse all of these GPUs and servers with cow urine. Their processing speed will increase fivefold. They won't need to build new infrastructure, just start pouring cow
I
urine in all these servers, and the processing speed will increase multifold.
Oh
I think we
God.
need to start. I think we need to start a signature for this. What do you call those? What is that called?
Petition.
Petition. We should file a petition for this. And you'll see all these people from our country traveling to these these server servers and throwing cow urine. Imagine taking cow urine from India all the way from India to US and throwing.
That is true.
Yeah, all the cows will be dehydrated in India.
Jesus
just
Christ.
milking urine out of them.
You guys joke, but don't say this because somebody might actually take this seriously. I wouldn't be surprised at all if cow urine is
I'll take
becoming.
full credit for
Listen,
this then. I'll take
yes,
full
if
credit for this.
listen, if they're taking urine from India and throwing somewhere in the US, I'm more than
Oh
happy if they do
my
it.
God.
Of course, they'll start with the data centers in India first, no? Wherever they are.
I don't know if they've built out data centers in India yet, but I think they
I'm
have.
pretty sure
There
there must
must
be some
be.
data centers
Yeah,
in
Yeah,
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 India,
there
they
dude.
have.
must be.
They also,
100%.
I mean, typically data centers needed to be physically close to wherever they were supplying the data to because,
Hmm.
it's to improve latency. I mean, to reduce latency. But you don't need that in data centers for AI, right? Because it's a few seconds of delay. You don't really care. So clearly, the criticism that is coming along, at least up until now, has been not well thought out criticism. I don't know why people are I don't know, so in support of big tech. Please understand that big tech only cares for itself and it is out to fuck us over. It has repeatedly proven so. So please just, I don't know, read a little. Like, this is very annoying. Don't get me wrong, AI does have massive benefits, right? But Gen AI, it looks like a bubble and talks like a bubble, and it's definitely not the greatest invention of the 21st century. And no matter what our friend Zuck wants you to believe, Mr. Deadeye over there, it's not going to become your friend. This is a very, very dangerous precedence to set. Go out, meet some people, talk to some people, interact with actual human beings, read things written by actual human beings, and just detach yourself from this because it's a fucking bubble. There are
Even
people,
Chetan Bhagat. You can even read Chetan Bhagat for all that
I would
matters.
strongly
He's an
advise
actual
against
human
that.
being.
That is actually true. Maybe just read a Chetan Bhagat instead of something written by GPT or Gen AI,
I don't know how much better Chetan Bhagat will be for that.
Of course not. But both of them are at low bar. But I'm just saying slightly better.
I don't
A
know.
human has written. The day Chetan Bhagat starts using AI in his writing, then it becomes worse. Or maybe he's using it. I don't know.
No, he wrote before that. Like yesterday, Sandy and I had gone back to our old house to clear out books and everything because I mean that has been sold, so we were supposed to clear out everything. And I did find his old books. I have read Chetan Bhagat. That's how I know he's horrible. Like, I see his interviews where he's annoying enough. I actually read these, a couple of books, and he's disgusting. And at that time, there was no Gen AI. So he was horrible all on his own. No help from Gen AI whatsoever. But there
Dude,
are,
I forgot how Chetan Bhagat looks. Wait a second, let me just Google.
what do you mean? He looks like a
Really?
banker, no? Like, he was a banker, but he looks like a banker. Like, when I read his interview where he was like, I used to be a banker, I was
How
like,
would you describe a
yeah,
banker?
like Chetan
How would you
Bhagat.
describe a banker?
Like
Don't.
Chetan
I
Bhagat.
knew,
Use your
I knew
words.
it. Ashmita would say
No,
that.
I'm very serious. Like, I don't know how to describe a banker, but when I looked at him, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you look like a banker. Yes. But anyway, speaking of reading better things, that brings me to the recommendation of the week. Unless you guys have some thoughts about this entire, you know, shebang that is going on.
No, I just have a few questions that like deep thought questions.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is, do we really need AI? I don't know, I've always thought about it. Of course, we all use AI now, and we have been using AI without even realizing we've been using AI. But now we're using AI, for our comfort. Before that, we've been using it without realizing it because it was maybe needed, or it was just very helpful for the big companies to have AI in their system. But now now AI is basically in front of us. We can use it whichever way we want to use it. But do we really need AI is my question.
I think you are talking about Gen AI, about us using, we don't use AI as often in our regular daily lives, right? Gen
I'm
AI, I
take I'm
think,
using AI as a very generic term. Like if
yeah,
we have to be very specific, yes.
yeah. But I mean, we should be specific because AI definitely has a lot of uses, right? It has made significant strides. It has been used for significant improvements, especially in the medical community as well, right? It has made things better that
Hmm.
way. That's what technology is supposed to do. But all the fad that is right now, that is AI, is the Gen AI part, which I
Yeah.
think is making things worse. It is promising the world and it has zero proof that it is even able to achieve 1% of it. In fact, all
Hmm.
of the proof is that it fails repeatedly, right? So that is where we should be very, very careful, right? And I understand that there is a portion of the crowd that is the quote unquote early adopters, right, of tech. And we need those guys also to
Yeah,
validate
fair
things,
enough.
to make things work. I am not one of the early adopters of anything. I will be honest on that. But I also feel like we are at a stage where some critical thinking is also necessary. Do companies, do
Oh, I,
individuals?
I disagree with that point because critical thinking is necessary at every step of the way, and we have proven time and time again that none of us have any critical thinking. So
That
I
is
think
also
it's
true.
useless.
That is also true. But when you're putting in so much money, right?
By we, you, what do you mean, Sandy?
Companies are, oh, Sandy, as in
We
all,
as a human
yeah,
species,
all of
yeah,
us.
Hmm.
in general, had we used critical thinking at any step in our human history, we would not be at the place that we are in right now. We
Yep.
haven't. When we're criticizing the big tech companies for for over promising and under delivering, that is the entire history of human race. We've almost always over promised and severely under delivered, time and time and time again.
Yeah.
So why should we have any faith in humans to start with, let alone AI?
That's an existential
Food for thought.
question. That's an existential question, and that we cannot get into. All we can hope is that all we can hope is that enough amount of conversation actually starts getting people to question things. The problem is that the people at the decision making levels, they don't give a fuck because it's not their money. It's not their money that goes down the drain. Whenever a financial crisis hits, it's not rich people who suffer. It is always and always people like us, common people, right, who are absolutely fucked. And that's what will happen with the AI bubble as well. All indications are towards that, right? So I think the least we can do is stop taking at face value these tech, big tech
Hmm.
companies and all of these gigantic, the CEOs and all. They are lying through their teeth at all point of time. Like, let's just stop doing that, right? And I feel like a lot of suffering will also trickle down to like startups, smaller companies with individuals who are kicking things off, trusting that Gen AI is actually going to lead somewhere. That I'm afraid what will happen with those startups, because it's not like the technology will go away, right? When there's a burst, a tech burst, the technology doesn't disappear. The amount of money that goes behind it, that's what goes up, tits up essentially, right? That's where I think the fuckery will happen, and big tech will not pay for it. Big tech, consulting groups, those guys are not going to be the ones who are going to lose their money. So it's scary. It's a very, very scary deal
Hmm.
right now. I tried in between getting in some hopeful things also, but this one I genuinely didn't find anything. I tried finding things. Like, I think there are individuals and certain organizations that are doing some good job with highlighting what is happening, emphasizing that, this bubble is about to burst. There are there are big investors who are backing off now. That's a good thing.
Hmm.
That's a very good thing that there are certain big investors who are backing off. For example, the devil himself, Peter Thiel, he has backed off from certain investments. So these are good indications. Small though, it's not a massive impact yet. So I'm hoping that this will change in at least couple of years. But let's see. Uh, all right, now on to my recommendation of the week.
Recommendation time.
Because there's a lot of GenAI generated slop that is coming along, I wanted to recommend one of the most amazing books that I have ever read. It's called Piranesi by, and I'm reading the name because I've forgotten, Susanna Clark. It is such a weird ass book, dude. It is so strange and it's so compelling. Like, this is about, it starts off, and I will just tell you how it starts off, because anything else after that, if I say it, it's a spoiler. But it starts off in this apparently completely separate world. It's like a building that has the ocean, that has like massive, structures. It's almost an entire world built into a building. And it is, in the beginning, it is so strange. And then it keeps on getting, it's an extremely compelling read. It keeps on getting scarier and scarier, right? It's almost a thriller in that sense. So it is, and the reveal is one of the most fantastic reveals I have ever come across. Like, throughout the book, there was no indication of what the reveal was, which is
Hmm.
usually what happens in thrillers. Like, thrillers that are not as compellingly written, and by thriller, I don't mean somebody's murdered or kidnapped or shit like that, right? Like, world building thrillers also. They give hints as to what is actually happening. This one doesn't.
Is this book a New York bestseller?
Oh, good
Is
point.
what is
I have
important.
Goodreads open. Let me see. It doesn't say so on the cover.
Could be a good book
Hmm.
then.
Listeners who don't know what this is about, go back to our episode on New York bestsellers. What was the episode called, Sandy? What was the name of the episode?
It's called Don't Know How the NYT Picks Bestsellers.
Perfect. So check out this episode. We have talked about, Sandy has actually talked about NYT bestsellers, and uh, Prakhar gave his stellar performance that you can also check out in the game section. That was fantastic. But yeah, so that was a callback to that. So please go check that episode out. And about this particular episode, the Gen AI one, if you have further information on what's happening, if you are from inside the industry, especially working in the hardware or the foundation model, not the companies that are using it, but companies that are in the thick of things in that case, please reach out to us. It would be great to bring in some insider perspective as well. Please reach out to us at don't know do care one is numerical at gmail.com, or DM us on Instagram at DKDC podcast, or you can leave actually comments on our YouTube channel as well. Share it with your friends who are absolutely extremely happy believing in all the nonsense that big tech promotes. I would love to read some angry comments. That really does make my day. So please do send them this if you know of such people.
And with that, we've reached the end of another episode. And on that note, we'll be taking your leave. And we hope to see you in the next episode. Till then, take care. Bye bye.